For this mindfulness meditation practice we're going to do today, we're going to work with a variety of points of awareness. And when I say points of awareness, I basically just mean the point where we choose to put our awareness. So when we're doing a meditation practice with the breath isn't the meditation itself. The breath is a point that we choose to steer our attention to. It's just a training tool to strengthen the muscle of mindfulness. So we're going to do a changing point of awareness practice here today, where we're going to switch through different points of awareness while we practice. So coming into a comfortable sitting position, finding a resting place for your hands on your knees or in your lap. Just checking that your back feels aligned, your shoulders are down. Just bring your chin back a little if necessary. And we'll start with the breath. So starting with noticing the breath at the nostrils. We don't need to change the breath in any way. Just noticing the inhalations and the exhalations just as they are. Following the inhalation as it travels up the nostrils, following the exhalation as it travels down. And what's so normal and natural in this practice is we're not trying to stop the thoughts. The thoughts don't all just go away and disappear. To use a quote from Sally Kempton, we just let the thoughts dissolve into the subtle fabric of the mind. So we just let the thoughts fade into the background. And we let all of our attention on the breath come into the foreground. We start to see how dynamic we are as humans, how multi-dimensional. We can hold a lot of things in our attention at the same time. We're amazing that way, really. So the invitation here at this first point of awareness in a changing awareness practice is to just let thoughts, feelings, things we're noticing, sensations, just let it all fade into the background. And let the noticing of the breath at the nostrils just come strongly, profoundly into the foreground of your awareness. So our eyes are just gently closed and we're noticing the breath at the nostrils. Every time we find our attention wanders off, we just make a subtle shift with an attitude of loving kindness to ourselves. And we just really notice the breath at the nostrils. Just really letting that sense of the breath at the nostrils be stronger than usual. Now we're going to make our first shift in our changing awareness practice. we're going to shift to bringing our attention to the sense of sight. So we can gently open our eyes. We can kind of keep the gaze light at a 45-degree angle down. And we're going to work here with sight just as we did with the breath. So we bring all of our attention to sight. We let all other thoughts, sensations, breath fade into the background, and the sense of sight comes into the foreground. And so one way we can conceptualize this is we are looking, but we're not seeing. So we don't want to give any judgments or opinions or preferences or titles or associations to sight. We don't need to label floor, carpet, I like the color, I don't like the color. We just see. We're just having the pure, direct, organic experience of sight. All other experiences are fading into the background, and we're just experiencing sight. And now we're going to make another shift to another point of awareness. And so the invitation here is to close your eyes again. And now let sight fade into the background with breath and thought and feelings and sensations. And we're going to let hearing, our auditory sense, come into the foreground. So we're giving all of our attention to hearing. Just noticing all the sounds in the room right now. But we work with hearing the same as sight. We're not going to label what we hear. We're not going to interpret it. We don't need to have any preferences. I like that sound. I don't like that sound. We're just bringing all of our attention to hearing, letting it really pop, letting it really come so strongly into the foreground. This direct, organic, raw experience of hearing. And if at any point it changes and thoughts start to get your attention, that is fine. That's normal. We're just doing a practice. Just notice where your attention is. And then make a little shift, just a little adjustment. where that thought goes back into the subtle fabric of the mind, and hearing comes up into the foreground. And now we're going to make another shift in our changing of awareness practice. This time we're going to shift to something we call sensing. Sensing everything going on around our bodies. So this is just like the air around our bodies, and where our clothes kind of makes contact with our skin, and over our heads and down our backs and around our hands. What do you sense? What can you sense going on around your body? And again, we don't want to label it or judge it or make a whole cognitive story about it. Just notice. This is about noticing. What we're doing is having an experience here. What we're doing is seeing that thought isn't the only experience. So what do you sense in the air around your body, just at the edge of your skin? Just notice. Let this come strongly into the foreground, this sensing. And let breath and hearing and sight and thought just slip back into the back of your mind. And now we're going to make another shift in our change of awareness practice. Now we're going to shift to touch. This is where is there contact? So your buttocks against the pillow or the chair or the ground, your legs against the ground or your feet against the floor, your hands against your legs or against each other. Where is there contact? Really noticing this spot of contact. What do you notice there? What can you experience there? What can we experience in the direct sensation of experience, not in a cognitive idea of experience? Bringing all of our attention to where there is contact. The pressure, the texture, skin meeting skin, feet meeting floor. Just letting sensing and breathing and seeing and hearing and thought be so subtle and soft. And let this sensation of contact be really bold, really strong in your consciousness. And now we're going to make another shift. And so far in this practice, we've had narrow points of awareness. We've been just noticing one small point at a time. Very micro point of awareness practice. Now we're going to broaden our point of awareness. We're going to open it to everything at the same time. So if you're comfortable, the invitation here is to open your eyes and just take it all in. Sight, hearing, breath, sensing, touching where there's contact. We're bringing the point of awareness broad, taking it all in. And just really keeping the sight light and unfocused. And we notice the breath, and we notice hearing, and we notice that sensing what's going on around our skin, and we notice where there's contact. We're just having this really organic, direct experience. If at any point it feels like too much, of course you're welcome to close your eyes again and just notice breath. Otherwise, we have our eyes open and we have this broad point of awareness. And we're just experiencing everything but without a label. So we don't need to have a label that I like this experience or I don't like this experience. I want more of this experience. I want less. This experience is like blah, 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 something else I've experienced. We're looking for no preference or no association, no judgment, no opinion. We're just having direct experience of this moment, of sight in this moment, and breath and hearing and sensing and touching all open at the same time. And then if you're ready, you can close your eyes again. Just feel yourself settling back into the darkness. And let's make the point of awareness narrow again. So just bringing all of the attention to breath at the nostrils. Without putting a label on the experience, just noticing any shifts in consciousness that have occurred with coming back to breath. And just letting sight and hearing and thoughts and sensing and contact dissolve into the subtle fabric of the mind, into the background, and just let the breath at the nostrils be in the foreground. And then in your own time, as you're ready, opening your eyes coming back slowly.